thank you first of all for having us here. We're very excited. Lee's going to be joining me in a minute. And I didn't actually realize that Lee was a singer. And if I had known, I would have had him do more singing in Open Sesame, the Story of Seeds. But I wanted to start and just sort of give a little background in terms of how the film began. I started the film in 2009. It was originally going to be an experimental project looking at what happens when seeds become information. I've been reading about Monsanto and larger companies patenting seeds, and I realized that seeds were no longer seen as something held in a little canvas sack or passed from hand to hand, but rather they were more like digital information, ones and zeros, patented and stored in a computer database. So I was going to do a little short film on that and meet people and interview them and kind of get an idea where I would go with that project, and sort of fell down the seed hole when I learned what was really happening to our seeds. These are the 5 world's largest seed companies, and if you notice something that they all have in common is they're actually all chemical companies. And when I learned that, I knew something was wrong and that there was a bigger story that needed to be told. This is a story that we're telling about seeds in today's world. This is a bag tag, and most farmers in the United States that buy seeds from a large company have to tear open a bag like this before they plant seed. And tearing open a bag like this is basically like signing a contract. It states that they can't save seeds, they can't pass them on. It really constricts what they can do with it. So I knew I wanted to make a film that would not only look at the challenges, but would celebrate some of the amazing people that are actually going out there and changing the system, and also tell the story of seeds. But how do we tell a story of something that can't speak for itself? Seeds work on a different time scale than we do. They're very active. Every seed, even a single sunflower seed, is a living organism waiting to propagate into a million other sunflower seeds that could feed us and the rest of future generations, all in just one little seed. But how to do that? And one way I feel is through using art and music. Mm-hmm. And so Lee came on board as a composer, and we worked together in part to bring the idea of growth and seeds to life through music. And I'd like to just, Lee, hear some of your thoughts in terms of how that worked.
Yeah, I think when I came to the project, there's something about seeds that's at the same time larger than life because it has such potential, and it's also so intimate, not because it's small physically, and because I guess because we relate to it as humans. We all come from a seed, and it at the same time relates to food, which everybody eats and everybody loves. So when we were making the film, there had to be some way to represent the seed at some times to seem like it was, I guess, impersonal in a way in its giganticness, and at other times to feel like it was yours and you were in front of it, and it was the same as you in some way. So, and it's a tall order, I guess, but yeah, Sean says I did a good job, but that's that was the approach that we took to the film. So we're going to show a small little slice of the film today, but when you see the whole thing, I think the personality of the seed comes alive when you see these different facets of its existence in different circumstances.
I wanted to show something that you couldn't just watch online, like the trailer and things like that, and also a piece that I really liked the music to. And the piece I'm going to show, actually, we're going to show first without music, and then with music, just for fun, so you can sort of get the an idea of how we feel the music brought these subjects to life. These people are talking about seeds. One of the things that I found being that of course, since seeds can't speak for themselves, I needed the subjects to bring them to life. And this is their answer to a question that was asked. We couldn't include the whole thing, but was asked by a little girl who was planting seeds with her mother in Vermont. And she asked her mom, what makes a seed grow, which is a question I asked every interview subject, and these are some of their answers.
About the care that's put into it, the human interaction with it.
A seed grows because that's what a seed does.
To make a seed grow, it needs all the 5 elements. coming together.
Life makes a seed grow, the life that resides in the seed and is waiting in a quiet potential to burst forth.
Okay, so that gives you a little idea of what it's like without sound. And I was saying to Lee that when I was listening to it earlier, I felt like it seems a little bit dry to me, and it doesn't come to life the way I felt that their answers warranted. And Leah, you also had a great comment about this earlier too.
Well, all of these people are so passionate about what they do, but there's something, and you can see a lot of the passion come through. But at the same time, they're saying something that's intellectual, and I think it's difficult to take what they're saying and what they're personally feeling inside and expand it to what I think Sean and also myself were hoping to see, which is that this is not something that's just about seeds, and it's not just about a potential crisis in the world, but it's about you, and it relates very emotionally and personally.
It's about the care that's put into it, the human interaction with it.
A seed grows because that's what a seed does.
To make a seed grow, it needs all the 5 elements coming together.
Life makes a seed grow, the life that resides in the seed and is waiting in a quiet potential to burst forth.
I think a seed grows because it wants to experience more of itself. I think that it really is this yearning to engage with a part of itself that it never has been.
And I've got to say that the people speaking are interesting in this scene and throughout the film, but I love the interspersed time lapses of the seeds growing, because again, it's something that our vantage point doesn't usually catch, and it brings this kind of like the universe zooming out, which is kind of awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and Lee did really an amazing job when we started to work together on this, in terms of really, bringing the emotion I felt from them to life, enhancing their words basically, and so I was really happy to work with them. The subjects were really a major collaborator on this film. I mean, obviously I couldn't have made it without them. That's what a documentary film is about bringing together a large group of subjects and helping sort of spread the seeds of what they're doing throughout the world. And Hudson Valley Seed Library is a little seed company in upstate New York, and they grow local varieties. It's hard to grow seed in the Northeast, but we badly need it. We need seed diversity. A lot of seeds are grown out in California where it's easier, but seeds learn the environment they're grown in. So a seed that's grown in the Northeast understands Northeast weather. It knows, it intuitively, not intuitively, but I don't want to anthropomorphize too much, but it will adapt. It'll adapt to our climate as it changes. So we need to grow seeds in the Northeast. What Ken and Doug are doing is they're working with artists. If you've seen mini seed packs, you'll see that, it's maybe an idealized image of what your garden might look like. And someone's laughing there, she knows it doesn't always turn out that way. Or it's maybe just a regular illustration. But what they do is they're working with artists from all over the world, and they are having artists design their seed packs. And they had every year they have an Art of the Expo heirloom exhibition at the Horticultural Society, where they actually have these artists show their work. And this is another great example. And what they're really doing is celebrating and highlighting the diversity that's in each seed by bringing these different artists together. This is a great seed variety that was grown by a Russian seed saver, and has a whole story behind it in terms of Soyuz and the Russian space program, and so every packet also tells a story of these seed varieties. And I thought it was a really great way that these artists are starting to help bring the idea of seed saving to life. Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to mention the way Lee and I worked together on this story is I started working with Ken and Doug very early on, and they were really kind of struggling as a company, and now they're doing better and better every year. And one of the things that Lee was able to do was which we don't have time to show you, but really helped to tell, their sort of arc or bring their story to life through, his music.
Yeah, I think Ken and Doug were unique in the scope of this film because they're so passionate about what they do, and it was so emotional. And at sometimes while I was scoring it or figuring out how to score it, it was almost about bringing back the music, because when they're so emotional about it, it almost can get cheesy or just overwhelming when you add anything that's too much underneath. And Ken is a very soft-spoken guy, and so it was just wonderful to see. It's wonderful for a composer sometimes to see someone work without any need for music, and I think that happened with them quite a bit. And I love that the work that they do, there's such a level of engagement with it.
Yeah, I think you were very successful. We're almost nearing the end, but
Yep.
I wanted to just conclude with one final thought, which is that the one thing one of the things I learned is that planting a seed can be an act of art and can be an act of fighting back. And so I encourage everyone here. It's spring, the weather's warm. Community garden, maybe it's your window box, but planting just a single seed, it changes something not only in the world but inside yourself. So I encourage you all to plant a seed and see what might grow. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.